Now, I have a lot of words, and they're not particularly positive. Probably because I've unboxed such great figures like Jalter and Okita Alter that my opinion is kind of skewed. But I had some pretty high expectations for my very first Portrait of Pirates series figure, and this Sadie-chan figure does not meet that standard. It is still a decent figure, but it feels more akin to a prize figure than a scale figure, at least in quality. I feel like when this figure is being sculpted and painted, like, so I can feel the weight of her hair. The hair is very weighty, definitely use a lot of plastic to make it, but the painting is very sloppy. It looks like they attempted to do some shading, but kind of stopped trying halfway. I see that they tried to do the translucent tips at the end of her hair, but it just makes it look lazy. And on top of that, I don't know if it's the manufacturer's fault, but the figure feels slightly greasy. As I was assembling the figure, I had to take double takes because I felt like the paint was coming off on my fingers, and I had to just keep looking. And maybe that's because it was packaged in the packaging so long that the plastic started to sweat, but it just wasn't pleasant to touch. And it did have somewhat of a chemical smell as well, which was a little bit concerning. And then there's more. It just keeps going. The seam line, because it is a figure that you can take the face, you can change the faceplate off, one being kind of like one with her tongue out. The extra faceplate looks so sloppy. It looked really cool on the box art and on the website, and I was like really thinking this was gonna be the face I was gonna use because it just had her tongue out and it looked really, really sadistic, really cool. But when I see it in person, if the head and hair didn't already look cheap, the extra faceplate looks even cheaper. It's like it was made with a cheaper paint. It's absolutely nuts. I feel like I can't put it on her head because the hair on that faceplate does not match the rest of her hair that's tied back. So I don't even want to use it. And I've been talking about face sculpts, like mouth sculpts, for a while, from my Darkstalkers video where Morrigan and Felicia, their mouths are sculpted so well. I feel like this face got phoned in. It's still sculpted, not painted on, but the tongue is too dark to actually tell that her tongue is out. It's not really great. And then finally, the seam line. So of course, I guess it's kind of inevitable to have a big seam line when you have extra face plates, but the issue is how her head is positioned. Her head's kind of positioned down, looking downwards at a tilt, so it actually brings more attention to the seam line in between where the back of her hair is and her bangs. It's so jarring. This figure has a very, very specific viewing angle, and that has to be on the top shelf. If you put her on a lower shelf, you're not going to see her face. You already don't see half her face because of her hair, which it makes me a little bit flabbergasted that they didn't tilt her head further up so that you can actually see her face. If you have her on like a chest level shelf or lower, you're not gonna see her head sculpt, which I guess was the manufacturer's intention since the head sculpt's so terrible. Furthermore, I do like that she has her accessories. She has her whip and she has her trident. One of the biggest issues honestly does come from her accessories. Her accessories have the worst paint transfer issues I have seen in accessories yet. You can kind of see from the where the black is leaving the trident and the whip, that's all paint transfer. Like the paint that they use to paint these weapons is not good. It rubs off at the slightest touch. It shows, I guess, weathering of the items, but it's not in any of the promotional pictures, so it has to just be a manufacturing defect. Like, this figure is just full of just manufacturing issues. This is pretty much a masterclass in how not to sculpt your scale figures. And at $90 too, it isn't the most expensive scale figure, but you would still expect more for your money. There are so many good scale figures that are under $100, and this one does not deliver on almost any front, other than being Sadie. It's nice that it's Sadie. It's nice that Sadie has a figure, but it's not nice that you have to pay pretty much a premium for it. Now, while I listed out a bunch of cons at the beginning of the review, that doesn't mean it doesn't have some good sides about it. This figure still looks really, really good at a top shelf. Because of how this figure is angled, you're able to kind of see her face a lot better at a high shelf. So you can kind of put her on the highest shelf of your DTOF, or if you have very high floating shelves like I do, you can still kind of make out her silhouette and her face from the ground level, which is really important for a top shelf figure. Now, do you want it to be occupying top shelf real estate? That really is up to you. For me, I'm still going to display this figure. She's not going to collect dust in my closet. She is still one of my favorite designs from One Piece. Definitely a Goda art style right here. And in certain lighting, which is darker lighting, she still does look pretty good. So I give this figure, I guess if you're trying to get more One Piece figures, I don't really recommend going out of your way to buy this, especially at $90. I don't think it's very much worth it. Again, you just have to really be a Sadie fan. So for my 5 Sadie fans in the audience, like, this may be worth it for you, but for the mass majority, no. This would be a no for me. And that's all I have for today. Thank you very much for joining me on this review. I hope the future reviews are a little more positive than this one. I am very excited for the rest of the figures I have to unbox and review with y'all. So thank you very much for joining me. Have a good one. Bye.